We now live in a new generation of cinema that is filled with long-awaited sequels and remakes. It's becoming a habit of Hollywood to follow this old is new nostalgia, and it hasn't taken them very long to turn to Disney. They've already gone through live-action remakes, or at least loose adaptations of Disney's interpretation, most recently with Cinderella in 2015 and The Jungle Book in 2016. But now they've decided to create a live-action remake of arguably the most beloved Disney story ever told, Beauty and the Beast. I'm going to try not to compare the live-action remake with its animated predecessor too much, but to instead discuss how it fares off as an individual film. As the tale, at least Disney's take on it, is so imaginary, filled with wonderful characters, iconic musical numbers, and has a genuine moral in its story, it only seems inevitable that audiences would want to see it brought to life for a new generation. As nostalgic as it sounds, it's almost impossible to avoid in this day and age. We know the story and the characters, even when the appearance of some should have been kept as a closed door until release perhaps. But just how does this film stand out individually? To put it simply, not great, but not entirely awful either. As expected, the standout aspect of Beauty and the Beast was going to be its incredible visuals, production design and cinematography. It supports the elements of the dark fantasy genre with themes of fright and sometimes horror, particularly in representing the Beast and his enchanted castle. On the other hand, seeing its rich attention to colour, particularly gold and blue, was easy on the eyes. However, while it is all fine and dandy to have stunning visuals, there is also a lot more to it than that. The key principle of any film, and certainly as shown from the 1991 animated film, was that it needs heart. Without spoiling anything, there isn't much that isn't already in the animated film. The script is almost the same, with only minor adjustments in the dialogue and camera shots, although there are additional scenes that develop the individual characters more, including their backstories. Also, more songs were included that stretches the film's running time of 2 hours, tells viewers more about these characters, and thickens the plot a bit more. In this regard, it worked as a drama, which took a different turn, but other faults concerning some of the performances were drawbacks to making it a great film. The ensemble cast is incredible, who are not only talented but also dedicated to the film. They clearly show their excitement for it throughout production. To an extent, they are also the fans as well as the stars. This mass of great actors and their enjoyment would further encourage audiences of all ages to see it. However, there are some of these performances that deflated the film at times and did occasionally fall flat. In addition to the title being Beauty and the Beast, there is also a sense of beauty/good about some of the performances, but there was also a sense of beast/bad in them too. What I mean by this is that some of these roles were better on the outside than the inside, and vice versa. So let's start with Emma Watson as Belle. She is certainly beautiful enough, and there wasn't a single moment in the film that she appeared exactly how Belle should be in human form. Watson will have even more fans now than before, but due to character similarities of her role as Hermione in Harry Potter, it may have been a challenge for Watson to distract herself from that. She has clearly had singing lessons, which is fine, seeing as not everybody was born to do it, but as an actress her performance was actually very wooden. It felt forced, as she lacked passion, the elegance and the warmth that makes Belle such a beloved character. In short, she was easy on the eyes, but her actual performance wasn't entirely convincing. Other than those who have watched Downton Abbey, people may not know Dan Stevens until now. He portrayed the Beast, and he gave a good performance. The new design of the character received mixed reactions, but it actually made him look more human, which is what he was before, but even more so by not just showing the Beast being angry and arrogant at the beginning, or emotional and kind at the end, but throwing in the occasional and sometimes immature jokes. It brought the arrogant prince forward, who is blossoming into a whole new person. I like this Beast, but as I said about Belle, there just wasn't much in it in their relationship. My first impressions of Luke Evans as Gaston was that he didn't appear arrogant or hench enough. He proved how you don't have to be overly masculine to play a character like Gaston, as shown in the animated film, but he brought a whole new shape to the character. There were still moments though that didn't quite work, especially certain lyrics from the Gaston song concerning his masculinity. His sidekick Josh Gad was a tremendous LeFou. He had a bigger role this time, and perhaps was one of the few performances that was an improvement from its animated counterpart. Kevin Kline makes a long-awaited return to the spotlight as Belle's father Maurice. Like LeFou, he is more involved this time and plays a more crucial part as we follow him and his misfortunes throughout. The animated Maurice was a more unique character, whereas Kline's version was different. This film explored his emotional state of experiencing the Beast, the trauma of losing Belle, the verbal torment from Gaston, and his own past in greater depth this time, which was good. Out of all these characters that have been brought to life, it comes as no surprise to me that the other supporting ones, specifically those within the Beast's castle, have become the most interesting. Instead of designing them to make them appear like humans, they are quite literally shaped like the ornaments as they were cursed to be. Ewan McGregor as Lumiere was a fantastic choice. The character's trademark is his smile, and from other films he's been in, it is also a shared trace of McGregor's. His attempt at a French accent was successful, and he managed to bring forth the witty Lumiere that everybody loved in the animated film, particularly in Be Our Guest. Although McGregor's physical role was limited, he really did bring Lumiere to life, and didn't break character after transforming again. The same can be said for the others. Ian McKellen further adds sophistication with a great performance as Cogsworth, and he shared the same amusing relationship with Lumiere. Emma Thompson's voice was almost unrecognisable as Mrs. Potts, but she was a more shining character in physical human form than by her vocal performance. Other cast members include Stanley Tucci as Maestro Cadenza, a court composer turned harpsichord, Audra MacDonald as Cadenza's wife, Madame de Garderobe, an opera singer transformed into a wardrobe, and Gugu Mbatha Raw as Plummet, Lumiere's lover and the castle's maid turned into a feather duster. In short, there were some faults in performances, but there were also some impressive ones too. Not everybody delivered on their vocals, but for actors not being professional singers first and foremost, their attempts were decent enough. And for a film like this, that will still have a large fan base, these faults are justifiable. A live-action remake of Disney's animated classic and the original French novel was inevitably going to happen sooner or later. It continues this newly grown universe of remaking Disney animations into live action, but it has slightly deflated. The film's visuals, some of the performances, and the nostalgia saved it, and there will be overly excited audiences who will be distracted and perhaps blinded from seeing it as an individual film. On the whole, it could have been great, but it could have also been so much worse. I rate this film with a decent 3 stars.